the mood to make a chicken pot pie. So you're just going to need an 8.5 or 9.5 inch pie plate. And I'm going to show you all the ingredients that go into it. It's a very comfort food. And you could have it any time of the year, winter, fall, summer, spring. And I've been wanting to make this for a long time, and so I'm going to make it today. I've made it many times, but not on my channel yet. So it's a pretty easy recipe. I'm not going to make everything from scratch. As far as the vegetables, I'm going to use frozen peas and carrots, which work really well because they're fresh frozen. And whenever I make homemade soups, I always use fresh carrots and fresh celery and fresh all vegetables, which I am going to do partial. I'm going to do fresh celery and onions, but I'm going to use a frozen pack of peas and carrots. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. Thank you for watching. Okay, so here's all your ingredients you're going to use. You're going to need a pie plate. You're going to need 1 pound of skinless, boneless chicken breast. And you're going to cut those in cubes. And you're going to have a cup of sliced carrots, a cup of frozen green peas. Now I have 2 cups of frozen peas and carrots together. There's 2 cups. And then a 1/2 cup of celery, a 1/3 cup of real butter, a 1/3 cup of chopped onion, 1/3 cup of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, about a 1/4 teaspoon of celery salt. I use about a 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. And you're going to need 1 3/4 cup of chicken broth and 2/3 a cup of milk. And you're also going to make your own roux, is which I do with the flour and the milk and the chicken broth. And you're going to need 2 9-inch unbaked pie crusts. Now I'm going to make my own, but you can certainly buy store-bought crusts as well. The first thing you want to do is boil some water. And I'm not going to cube my chicken before I put it in the water. I'm just going to put 2 large chicken breasts in the water. And this is over a pound of chicken. It's probably more like 2 pounds of chicken. So I'm going to put the chicken in first, and then I'm going to cut them in cubes after that. Add your carrots, peas, and chicken all together and boil this for about 15 minutes. Mushrooms are an option. You don't have to use. I'm using about a cup, and I'm using cremini mushrooms. And I'm chopping them up, and then I'm just going to saute them with my celery. So I'm going to, I'm boiling the peas and carrots with the chicken, and then I'm going to saute my celery, my chopped onions, and my mushrooms all together in the butter. I'm going to add more butter so I can saute these, and then I'll do my roux. Okay, after 15 minutes, you want to turn off your stove top when your chicken is done, as well as your vegetables are cooked. You want to add your butter, and normally it would be a 1/3, but I'm putting in a 1/2 cup because I'm going to cook my onions, celery, and mushrooms all together, so I will need a little more butter. So you want to melt your butter on like a medium low, and then after it's completely melted, you're going to add your onions, celery, and mushrooms. Okay, our butter is melted. So I'm going to add our onions, celery, and mushrooms. We're going to saute these until they're kind of softened. Then we're going to add our flour until it's pretty well cooked, and then we'll add our milk and broth, which we'll show you in just a moment. Okay, after about 5 to 7 minutes of cooking your veggies, you're going to add your flour mixture. And it's a 1/3 cup. We're just going to kind of brown the flour and get it all cooked and incorporated with the butter and veggies. And we're going to cook this a few minutes until everything is, all the flour taste is gone. Then we'll add the broth, and then we'll add the milk. And you want to stir this around. It will thicken from the flour. And once we get this incorporated, kind of stirred around where everything's dissolved, we're going to add our 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then you're going to add your pepper. And also at this time you can add your celery seed and thyme. And as you can see, this is kind of thickening now. And now you're going to add your milk. Okay, keep stirring. So once I have all my chicken breast cut up, I'm going to salt it to taste and pepper it. So like I said, you could buy your own pie crust. It's a double crust, or you could make your own. And when I make my own, I do a butter crust, and I add, instead of water, I add some chicken broth from the actual chicken that I boiled it in. Okay, once you have your pie crust, your bottom crust done, you can put in your chicken and your vegetables. Both of them. And you're going to just arrange them so they fit just right in your pie crust. I did have a little too much chicken in what I cooked, so I'm not putting all of it in. I'm putting about, they were very large chicken breasts, so I have like 1.5. But you'll have to just decide how much you want. Now we're going to get the inside cream sauce and pour it over. Okay, if you've been following me, you know that I always taste everything along the way. And this recipe, you can add a little bit of white wine, sherry, or whatever you want. And I didn't mention it before, but I tasted this, and it does taste good, but it just needs a little extra flavor in my opinion. So I added probably 2 tablespoons of Chardonnay to this. And the one thing also that I really like to put in here that really adds a lot of flavor is the thyme. So if you have fresh thyme, that's good, but it's not necessary. I'm using dried thyme. So I'm going to taste this, and if it needs more, I'll add more. Okay, I added a little more. I would say there's 1/8 a cup of Chardonnay wine in here. I put a little more thyme and a little more pepper, and it's just right. This is almost our finale. Now you're going to take your hot cream filling and pour it over the top. Just like this. And what I'm going to do is let this cool down before I put my top crust on it. Now this is a kind of a more shallow pie pan here. So I probably shouldn't have filled it quite as much. It's a different kind of pie plate. It's a little shallower. So anyway, I'm going to probably get a spoon and get some of this out from the edges. But we're going to let it cool for a bit before we do the top crust. We have our top crust on. There is a few little tears that I kind of mended here. You definitely want to put this on a baking sheet because it will have some bubbling in it. And we are going to make a few slits for the venting of this. And like I said, it's a little thin right around here. So I'm not going to do a big opening because it's thin. It's already kind of, I guess you could say the crust is a little broken right here, a little thin. So I'm just going to have these little vents here, and we'll put it in a 425-degree oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. Okay, mine baked about 40 minutes, and it can bake anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes. And now we got to let it cool about 10 minutes. Okay, it's time for the taste test. This looks so good. So we have a special guest that's going to taste it today. Come on over here. This is Jean. Here you go. I want you to take a taste and tell me what you think of it.
It's very good.
This is
You're a keeper.
Oh, thanks. Anyway, this is the first time I've had Jean taste this on camera, but I thought it'd be kind of fun for a change. So, I think you should give this a try. It is really good, and this crust is very flaky. I will leave the recipe for the crust in the description. So, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you and have a great day. Thanks.